On the TV screen, my husband, Ethan Hayes, was smiling and interacting with the newly crowned Best Actress, Sophia. A reporter asked pointedly, "The two of you have a close relationship. Are you acknowledging the romance?" Sophia lowered her eyes shyly, not denying it. I clenched my phone, the screen showing our 5th anniversary photo, 5 years of secret marriage. He has never made me public. At this moment, I'm like a joke hiding in the shadows. My heart is completely broken. On the TV screen, my husband, Ethan Hayes, was smiling and interacting with the newly crowned Best Actress, Sophia. A reporter asked pointedly, "The two of you have a close relationship. Are you acknowledging the romance?" Sophia lowered her eyes shyly, not denying it. I clenched my phone, the screen showing our 5th anniversary photo, 5 years of secret marriage. He has never made me public. At this moment, I'm like a joke hiding in the shadows. My heart is completely broken. 5 years. For a full 5 years, I was Ethan Hayes' invisible wife. He was the president of Summit Corp, young, promising, handsome, rich, and the dream lover of countless women in Cedar City. And I, Ava, was just the low-key and sensible shadow behind his many halos. He said that going public would affect his career and cause unnecessary trouble. I believed him. I silently played the role of a virtuous helper, managing household affairs, taking care of his daily life, and even spending anniversaries and holidays alone while he was busy socializing. I thought that as long as I was patient enough, he would eventually give me a legitimate identity. But now, that glamorous woman on the screen, Sophia, she doesn't even need a title to stand by his side, accepting everyone's envy and speculation. And he tacitly approved. My 5 years of youth and dedication feel like a huge, slapping me hard in the face. I even feel that I am worse than a mistress who interferes in someone else's marriage. At least the mistress chooses actively, but I have passively become the other woman in my own marriage. My stomach churned, and nausea surged into my throat. He took off his coat, carrying a smell of alcohol and a faint perfume, not my brand. Seeing me sitting pale on the sofa, he frowned. "Why aren't you asleep yet? You look so terrible." His tone was normal, as if that scene on TV had never happened, or rather, he didn't care if I saw it or not. I took a deep breath, suppressed the lump in my throat, and said in a weak but clear voice, "Ethan, let's get divorced." He was stunned for a moment, then smirked as if he had heard a joke, a hint of contempt at the corner of his mouth. "Ava, what tantrum are you throwing now? Don't forget, you were the one who pestered me to no end back then." This sentence was like a poisoned dagger, precisely piercing the most painful part of me. Yes, I was the one who fell in love first. I was the one who mustered the courage to pursue him. But so what? Does that give him the right to trample on my feelings? Tears finally couldn't help but fall. I'm not throwing a tantrum. I looked at him, word by word. "Ethan, I'm tired. For the past 5 years, I've been living like a shadow, and I can't see a future. I thought that as long as I loved you, as long as I gave, I could always warm your heart. But I was wrong. I can't stand my husband. He has someone else in his heart." I pointed to the television. Although the screen had gone dark, the image was already etched in my mind. "Your scandal with Sophia is all over town. You don't admit it, but you never deny it either. Ethan, tell me, where do you put me in all of this?" The impatience on Ethan's face gradually deepened. He walked over and tried to hug me, but I dodged him. He tugged at his tie a little irritably. "Ava, don't be unreasonable. Sophia and I are just friends. The media likes to exaggerate." "Friends?" I laughed miserably. "Friends who need to tacitly acknowledge a romantic relationship? Friends who leave you smelling of her perfume after a late-night social engagement? Don't overthink it." He tried to soothe me, but his tone was perfunctory. "Okay, I'm very tired. I won't go to the guest room tonight. I have to go. Go keep little auntie company." I don't know how long it had been, but I heard the sound of the lock turning. Ethan was back. Little auntie? My heart sank. This was a code word in their circle. I knew it. Sometimes it referred to elders, and sometimes it referred to young women who needed special care and were intimate. Combining it with today's news, who this little auntie is referring to is self-evident. So, he's too lazy to even find a better excuse for the perfunctory treatment. A huge wave of grief, anger, and despair instantly overwhelmed all my reason. "Ethan Hayes!" I almost screamed, shouting his full name with all my strength. "You bastard!" Everything went black before my eyes, and my body felt like it had been drained of all its strength. and I collapsed softly. Before losing consciousness, I seemed to see Ethan's panicked face. I had a very, very long dream. In the dream, I went back to summer when I was a teenager. By the lake outside Cedar City, the sun was dazzling. Me, Ethan, Sophia, and Noah, we grew up together. That day, Ethan accidentally fell into the lake. He couldn't swim and struggled desperately in the water. It was me, Ava, who jumped in first and dragged him ashore with great effort. I collapsed on the ground, choked on several mouthfuls of water, and was soaked and utterly miserable. When Ethan woke up coughing up water, the first thing he saw was Sophia standing beside him, smoothing out her beautiful skirt. Sophia spoke first, her voice sweet and soft. "Ethan, are you okay? You scared me to death. Luckily, I pulled you up." Ethan looked at her blankly, then looked at me, exhausted and speechless. He believed Sophia. From that day on, Ethan began to distance himself from me. He felt that I was taking credit for his accomplishments and that I was a scheming girl. No matter how I explained it, he wouldn't believe me. Only Noah silently walked up to me, handed me a clean towel, and said softly, "Ava, I believe you." The dream shifts, the image blurs. Only Noah's clear, trusting eyes remain clear. Waking up again, it's the smell of hospital disinfectant. I lay in the hospital bed, a needle stuck in the back of my hand, the cold liquid slowly flowing into my blood vessels. Ethan was watching over me. There were faint dark circles under his eyes, and his expression was a little complicated when he saw me wake up. "You're awake." His voice was a little hoarse. "The doctor said you had low blood sugar, plus you were emotionally agitated, which caused you to faint." I was silent, not wanting to speak. He paused, seeming a little hesitant, then opened his mouth, his voice tinged with an unbelievable joy. "Ava, the doctor also said, you're pregnant. 3 weeks. Pregnant?" I subconsciously stroked my lower abdomen. There, a small life was actually growing. I've been married to Ethan for 5 years, and we still don't have children. He always says he's busy with his career and we can talk about it in a few years, but I know he probably doesn't want a deeper connection between us. 6 months ago, watching our relationship grow colder, I humbly thought that perhaps a child could save his heart and make this home feel more like a home. I secretly stopped taking birth control. Unexpectedly, a child really came, but it was at a time when I had already decided to let go. A huge sense of sorrow and irony washed over me again. This child came at the worst possible time. It wasn't a crystallization of love, but rather a heavy shackle that would trap me in this hopeless marriage. Ethan seemed to see my struggle. In the following days, he behaved like a completely different person. He turned down all unnecessary social engagements, came to the hospital on time every day to accompany me, personally fed me, peeled fruit for me, and even clumsily massaged me. His face was filled with cautious flattery and the expectation of becoming a father. He said, "Ava, don't get divorced, okay? For the sake of the children, I will be good to you. Let's live a good life together." Looking at his rare gentle and considerate appearance, and listening to his longing for the future baby, my heart inevitably wavered. Maybe he was just confused for a moment? Maybe the arrival of the child can really bring him back to the family? I struggled inwardly, in unbearable pain. On the one hand, it is a complete disappointment in him, and on the other hand, it is the instinct of motherhood and a glimmer of hope for a complete family. Just as I was hesitating, Sophia arrived. She walked into the ward with a large bouquet of bright red roses, smiling, as if she were the hostess here. "Sister Ava, I heard you were sick, so I came to see you." She put the flowers in the vase by the bed, her movements natural. "Ethan has been looking after you these past few days, even neglecting a lot of things at the company." Her tone was intimate, with a sense of asserting her ownership. I looked at her coldly. "Thank you for your concern. I'm fine." Sophia didn't seem to notice my alienation and continued to say, "Honestly, you need to take better care of yourself when you're not feeling well. Ethan is so busy, you're making him worry." The implication in her words was that I was being immature and a burden to Ethan. I didn't want to argue with her, so I closed my eyes and pretended to be tired. Sophia, however, refused to give up. She leaned closer to me and said in a voice only the two of us could hear, "Sister Ava, you know what? Ethan said he likes me best when I wear that silk pajamas." I suddenly opened my eyes and met her provocative gaze. She smiled triumphantly and took out her phone, as if to show me something. At this moment, Ethan happened to push the door open and come in. Sophia immediately put away her phone and put on a concerned expression. Ethan, you're here. I came to see Sister Ava. Ethan frowned. Why are you here? I was worried about Sister Ava. Sophia's tone was innocent. Ethan didn't say anything more. He just walked to my bed and asked softly, how do you feel? Do you want some water? Sophia looked at us. A hint of jealousy flashed in her eyes, but she quickly hid it and said with a smile, since Ethan is here, I'll go first. Sister Ava, you have a good rest. She turned and left. As she brushed past me, my phone vibrated gently. It was a push notification from an unknown number. I opened it, and it was a photo. The background of the photo was very familiar. It was the king-size bed in my and Ethan's bedroom. Sophia was wearing the silk pajamas she had just mentioned, leaning languidly against the headboard, while half of Ethan's shoulder and arm appeared at the edge of the frame, as if he was embracing her. The camera angle is ambiguous, the light is dim, and it is full of unspeakable hints. Timestamp, on the night I fainted, he said he was going to be with Auntie, so it's true. Looking at that photo, my blood seemed to freeze instantly. The last trace of hesitation and completely vanished. I used to think he was just having an emotional affair or putting on an act, but this photo, like a resounding slap in the face, shattered all my fantasies. A child? A child who quietly arrived while my husband was cavorting with another woman? I can't take it. I can't stand that my child was conceived in such a miserable situation. I can't imagine how I will explain his father's betrayal to him in the future. More importantly, I can no longer use the child as a bargaining chip to beg for a marriage that has already rotted. I, Ava, want to live for myself for once. I calmly pulled out the needle in my hand, ignored the nurse's obstruction, put on my clothes, and walked out of the ward. Ethan chased after me and grabbed my wrist. Ava, where are you going? The doctor said you still need to be observed. I shook off his hand and looked at him coldly. Ethan, I'm going to have an abortion. Ethan's face turned pale instantly. What did you say? Ava, you can't do this. That's our child. Our child? I laughed, laughing so hard that tears came out. When you were rolling around in bed with Sophia, did you ever think about this being /our/ child? Ethan Hayes, did you get my permission? Ethan froze, the color draining from his face, his lips moving, but he couldn't say a word. He was speechless. This is the best answer. I stopped looking at him, turned around, and walked resolutely towards the obstetrics and gynecology department. Paid content can be placed here. Did the female lead really abort the child? How will Ethan react? Where will their relationship go? ***. The operating room lights were cold and glaring. I lay on the operating table, my body trembling slightly, but my heart was unusually calm. Anesthetic is injected into my body, and my consciousness gradually blurs. It's over. It's over between Ethan and me, and between me and this child who shouldn't have come. When I woke up, Ethan was guarding the bed, his eyes red and haggard. When he saw me open my eyes, he grabbed my hand tightly, his voice hoarse. Ava, why are you so cruel? I calmly withdrew my hand. Ethan, we're done. He closed his eyes in pain, his body trembling uncontrollably. This once high-spirited and arrogant man looked so fragile at this moment, but I knew that this fragility was not because of love, but because of losing control, because a possession that belonged to him, whether it was the child or me, had deviated from his expectations. Let's get a divorce, I proposed again, my tone firm and unquestionable. This time, Ethan didn't refute. He just looked at me deeply, his eyes complex, full of regret, unwillingness, and a hint of emotion I couldn't understand. Finally, he nodded, his voice tired. Okay. After the cooling-off period, we went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to complete the divorce formalities. I only glanced at the property division part of the divorce agreement drafted by the lawyer. Ethan probably felt guilty and gave me a large amount of compensation, including several properties and some shares of Summit Corp. I picked up the pen and directly crossed out those clauses, only signing my name at the end. I don't want anything, I said to Ethan. Consider these 5 years as if I fed a dog. Ethan's face turned even more unsightly, his lips moved, but ultimately he said nothing. The moment I walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, the sun was shining. I took a deep breath and felt a lightness I had never felt before. Cedar City, the city that carries my 5 years of youth and pain. It's time to leave. I booked a ticket to Oceanport. Noah is waiting for me there. Noah, the only person who has unconditionally believed in me and supported me since childhood. When I was at my lowest, he gave me the courage to start over. the plane took off, and as Cedar City became smaller and smaller, I silently said goodbye in my heart. Goodbye, Ethan Hayes. Goodbye to the past, the humble and cowardly Ava. Oceanport is a vibrant seaside city. With Noah's help, I quickly settled down. We decided to start a business together, establishing a small company called Phoenix Ventures, focusing on investment in emerging technology fields. I threw all my energy into work, trying to numb myself with busyness and forget the past. Noah gave me tremendous support and space, never asking about my past, just silently accompanying me, being my strongest support. The company is gradually getting on the right track. We have won several good projects and started to have a small reputation in the industry. My life seems to have finally turned a new page. Until that day, I saw Ethan's news on Financial News. Summit Corp president Ethan Hayes and actress Sophia held a grand wedding today. In the news photo, Ethan was wearing a neat tuxedo. Sophia was in a gorgeous wedding dress. The two snuggled together, smiling brightly. My heart still inevitably twinged, but soon, it returned to calm. It's all in the past. However, the peaceful life was soon disrupted. A few days later, a huge anonymous investment suddenly appeared in the company account. The amount was large enough to allow Phoenix Ventures to jump several levels directly. Noah and I are both confused. We couldn't find the specific information of the investor, only that they came from an overseas trust fund. My intuition tells me this is related to Ethan. Sure enough, a few days later, I received a call from Ethan. His voice sounded a little tired, but still with that commanding tone. Ava, long time no see. I heard you started a company and are doing well. Is something the matter? I asked with a distant tone. That investment your company received was from me, he admitted directly. I am optimistic about your project. No need, I said coldly. I will have the lawyer return the money. Ava, don't be like this. His voice softened, with a hint of pleading. Just consider it, me supporting your business. Or, would you be willing to meet? Let /S talk about the project. I was silent. Reason told me I should refuse, but deep down, there was a hint of curiosity. I wanted to know what he really wanted. In the end, I agreed. We arranged to meet at a quiet cafe. Ethan looked thinner, and his brows were furrowed with undisguised fatigue and loneliness. This was completely different from his triumphant appearance in the news. He didn't talk about the project, just looked at me with a complicated expression. Ava, he said with difficulty, Sophia and I are divorced. I was a little surprised, but not unexpected. A relationship like theirs, built on calculation, was destined to be short-lived. Ethan's voice was filled with disgust. She gambled and owed a lot of money. Moreover, she was always suspicious of me, paranoid, and we argued constantly. I listened quietly, without saying a word. Ava, I know I was wrong. He looked at me, his eyes sincere. Those 5 years. I'm sorry for what I did to you. I shouldn't have hidden the marriage, shouldn't have been entangled with Sophia, and even more shouldn't have made you lose that child. His voice choked. After losing you and the child, I realized what I missed. Wealth, status, these are not as good as a warm home, not as good as you. Ava, come back to me, okay? Give me another chance. I will make it up to you. I will love you with the rest of my life. He tried to grab my hand. I yanked it back and stood up. Ethan Hayes, I looked at him, my eyes firm and cold. It's too late. Between us, it ended long ago when you chose Sophia, long before I was lying on the operating table. I won't look back. I don't want to experience the pain of the past again. What you lost is the result of your own failure to cherish it, and it has nothing to do with me. I wish you happiness. After speaking, I turned and left without a trace of nostalgia. Outside the cafe, Noah's car was parked by the side of the road. He had clearly seen what had just happened. I pulled open the car door and sat down. Before I could say anything, Noah had already started the car. He didn't ask anything, just drove in silence. I don't know how long it took, but the car stopped by a secluded riverbank. Noah suddenly unbuckled his seatbelt, turned around, and punched the steering wheel hard. Bastard, he growled, his eyes red. Then, he turned his head, looked at me, his eyes filled with heartache and anger. Why does he still come to you? He hurt you so badly. Why does he think he can come back as if nothing happened? Before I could answer, he suddenly pushed open the car door and walked towards Ethan's car, which had followed us at some point. Ethan also got out of the car. The next second, Noah's fist flew over. Ethan didn't dodge, taking the punch squarely. and his mouth immediately bled. Two men who had grown up together since childhood were fighting over the same woman. They were both injured, their faces bruised, and their clothes torn. I rushed out of the car, wanting to pull them apart, but I didn't know where to start. Enough, stop it, I shouted. They finally stopped, panting and glaring at each other. Just then, a flashy red sports car sped over and stopped beside us. The car door opened, and Sophia stepped out in high heels, fuming. Seeing the injury on Ethan's lips, she immediately rushed over, pointed at Noah and yelled, "Noah, how dare you hit Ethan? Who do you think you are?" Then, she turned to me, her eyes filled with venom. "Ava, you bitch, even after the divorce, you still want to seduce Ethan. Shameless." Noah stood in front of me, looking at Sophia coldly. "Watch your mouth." Sophia wanted to continue scolding, but Ethan stopped her. "Enough, Sophia." Ethan's voice was exhausted. "Let's go." Sophia glared at me resentfully, helped Ethan into her sports car, and sped away. Only Noah and I were left at the scene. The atmosphere was a little awkward. The wound on Noah's face was still bleeding. I took out a tissue from my bag and wanted to help him wipe it. He dodged away, wiped it roughly himself, and then sat back in the driver's seat. The car started again, and we drove in silence. As I was about to reach the downstairs of my building, Noah suddenly spoke, his voice low and serious. "Ava." I turned to look at him. He stared straight ahead, but his tone was unusually firm. "I like you. I've liked you for a long time. I know it's not the right time for me to say this now, but I don't want to wait any longer. Seeing him hurt you like that, seeing him still wanting to come back and pester you, I couldn't control myself. Ava, I know you've been hurt before. I won't force you, but I hope you can give me a chance to protect you." The carriage was silent, with only his steady breathing. My heart skipped a beat. Noah, over the years, whether I was successful or frustrated, he has always been by my side. When Ethan misunderstood me, he was the only one who believed in me. When I was divorced and had nothing, he took me in and encouraged me. When I encountered difficulties in starting my business, he silently supported me. This friendship has long surpassed that of ordinary friends. I looked at his sharply defined profile, and at the sincerity and firmness in his eyes. Perhaps, I really should let go of the past and try to accept a new relationship. "Noah," I said softly, Thank you for always being by my side. I am willing to try." Noah turned his head sharply, a look of incredible surprise flashing in his eyes. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but in the end, he just nodded forcefully, a gentle smile rising on the corners of his lips. My relationship with Noah developed naturally. He was considerate and gentle, giving me a sense of security I had never felt before. We ran the company together, faced difficulties together, and shared the joy of success together. With our joint efforts, Phoenix Ventures grew better and better, becoming a dark horse in the oceanport investment world. To celebrate the success of a major project, we decided to go on a ski vacation to Aspen together. The snow scene in Aspen is beautiful, and the resort's hotel is also very comfortable. We ski during the day and nestle by the fireplace chatting at night. Everything is so wonderful, as if the past pain has really gone away. However, danger always comes unexpectedly. That night, Noah went to the hotel front desk to handle some things. I was alone in the room when I received a text message from Noah's phone number. "Ava, come to room 3012. I have a surprise for you." I was a little confused, but I didn't think much about it, and I put on my coat and went to room 3012. The door was ajar. I pushed it open and went inside, the light dim. "Noah?" I called out tentatively. The response I received was the sound of the door slamming shut and being locked with a bang. Several burly men emerged from the shadows, their faces bearing malicious grins, approaching me step by step. A jolt went through me, and I immediately realized something was wrong. "This isn't Noah. It's a trap. Who are you? What do you want?" I tried to appear calm, backing away step by step, my hand stealthily reaching for the phone in my pocket. "What do we want?" The bald-headed man in the lead grinned savagely. "Someone paid us to entertain you properly and take some souvenirs along the way." My heart sank. "It's Sophia. It must be her. She's actually using such a vicious way to get revenge on me." I quickly pressed the emergency shortcut key and shouted for help at the same time. But this is the end of the hotel corridor, and the soundproofing is good, so my voice can't be heard at all. The big men pounced on me with grim smiles. I closed my eyes in despair. Just at this critical moment, The door was suddenly smashed open by a huge force. Noah rushed in. He was followed by several hotel security guards and police officers. Seeing the scene in the room, Noah's eyes were about to burst. He was like an enraged lion, rushing up to fight with the big men. The police and security guards also quickly stepped forward and quickly subdued the thugs. Noah rushed to my side and hugged me tightly, his body still trembling slightly with anger and lingering fear. "Ava, are you okay? Are you hurt?" I was still in shock, shook my head, but couldn't help but shed tears. It's okay. Noah held me tightly, his voice hoarse. "Don't be afraid, I'm here." The police came over to ask about the situation. Noah explained that when he went to the front desk, he received an internal call from the front desk saying that someone was impersonating him and asked the front desk to call my room, saying that he was waiting for me in 3012. He immediately felt that something was wrong because he had not booked room 3012 at all, nor had he asked the front desk to make a call. He was worried that something might happen to me, so he asked the front desk to call the police while rushing over immediately. Fortunately, he arrived in time. After this terrifying experience, Noah's and my relationship has deepened. We are both grateful that we didn't lose each other. The follow-up investigation quickly yielded results. The mastermind behind the scenes was indeed Sophia. She bribed a hotel waiter, obtained Noah's phone number, perhaps saved before, and planned this vicious trap, attempting to ruin my reputation and even my life. Waiting for her was the severe punishment of the law. Sophia was detained by the police for intentional injury, attempted. Meanwhile, her scandal of hiring someone to injure another, and the proof of her being a mistress during her marriage with Ethan, perhaps that bed photo she sent me was leaked, which was revealed by someone, completely detonated public opinion. The former movie queen instantly became a rat everyone wanted to beat. Endorsements were withdrawn, films were boycotted, and her career completely collapsed. The immense pressure from public opinion and the despair of being unable to recover ultimately crushed her. A few days later, news reported that Sophia jumped from the top of the hospital and died on the spot. Her death also brought considerable negative impact to Ethan's Summit Corp, with stock price volatility and reputational damage. None of this has anything to do with me anymore. Noah and I left Aspen and returned to Oceanport. Life returned to calm, but it was also different. Having experienced life and death, we cherished each other even more. Sunlight streamed through the French windows, and Noah was intently looking at a project document. I walked over and gently hugged him from behind. He put down the document, turned around, hugged me back, and rested his chin on the top of my head. "What are you thinking about?" he asked softly. "I'm thinking." I raised my head, looked into his eyes, and said earnestly, "Meeting you is wonderful." Noah smiled and lowered his head to kiss my forehead. Outside the window, the sea breeze is gentle and the sun is shining. Our story has only just begun.